As you can see, signs are an important part of any construction site. Signs protect equipment, they protect employees, they protect visitors, they protect the construction site itself. So signs are very much needed, and they need to inform all of these parties of the hazards, conditions, and equipment in the workplace. And this gives you the best possible way to protect all parties involved. But what do you do if a tool breaks or an equipment malfunctions? You probably don't have a sign on hand to indicate that. The answer is right here. We use accident prevention tags. Accident prevention tags are pretty versatile, they're easy to use, and they indicate to employees and any other personnel that a tool or equipment has a malfunction that's hazardous, that you shouldn't use it, or that it's just plain broken. And obviously if you use something that's broken, things can go wrong. And we don't want anything to go wrong. We don't want equipment getting damaged. We don't want people getting hurt. Both of those can cost a lot of money. So accident prevention tags, a big thing that's very important about them, including signs, is that they're for temporary use, but especially accident prevention tags for temporary use. Whenever that hazard or condition no longer exists, you need to make sure that it's removed. If it's not removed, you're misleading employees and any other personnel on site. And that's really bad for you, that's bad for companies, and can even inhibit how quickly work gets done if somebody thinks that a piece of equipment is out of order when actually it's not. So we want to make sure we're using those correctly. Whenever something does malfunction or is defective or damaged, we want to make sure that somebody signs the accident prevention tag. Now these are just two examples. These aren't necessarily specific on what you need to use, but two examples, and they need to be signed preferably by somebody with some authority like a safety manager or the construction site manager, somebody like that who also can take care of that equipment, that can manage it getting fixed, make sure that it actually gets done and then gets put back into order. And then also date it that helps them keep track of when things are happening and can really help the company to get this equipment or the tool fixed. Moving on, there's building construction. We also have a lot of signs used in road construction. And road construction zones are pretty dangerous areas. You have a lot of vehicles going 40 miles an hour, more, possibly less. You have people, you have barricades, you have cones, you have signs, you have equipment all in one little area. And some roads are pretty narrow, some are pretty wide. So very dangerous area. And a construction road zone typically consists of three main areas. These three main areas are an advanced warning area, a transition area, and the actual work area, which is the activity area. So each of these areas is super important, especially the advanced warning area. That indicates to drivers that there's a construction zone coming up soon. That allows them to prepare for hazards that exist there. Being closer to other vehicles and barricades and equipments, it allows them to take all of this in before they're actually in the construction zone, so they aren't surprised by any of this, which can cause accidents if somebody's surprised. The transition area is typically what you've been through a lot of times when you've been driving, is say you're in a two-lane road and the cones start tapering off to one lane so that the lanes merge. That's your transition area, where you're transitioning from the advanced warning area to the actual construction zone. And then your activity area is where the work is actually taking place. So this is definitely the highest hazard area where all the people are, and vehicles and equipment and barricades. So we need to take special care to warn people of the hazards there. We need to post the lower speed limit, equipment nearby, the barricades need to be set up properly, and signs set up where they need to be to ensure that that is as safe as possible. So moving on, there's a few of these construction signs that are used in each of these areas. One of the main areas you see a lot of signs is in your advanced warning area, which is where you see things like detour 1,000 feet, one lane road ahead 1,000 feet, or road 2 lanes closed in a half mile. Things like that indicate to the drivers that there's a construction zone coming up soon. So it's very important to use these. Additionally, you may see in actual construction zones that the lane's going to merge, or a change lane is coming soon. Things like that are what's going to indicate to the drivers of a hazard or a change in the area that's coming up soon. But sometimes you actually can't really use signs. There's definitely times that you've probably seen a signal person use. That's when you have a worker there, they're standing in the construction zone or before the construction zone with a sign, they're directing traffic. So this is another option that can be used. It's contained in 1926.201 and MUTCD, the Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices, Part 6. And so a few of these things, the preferred method is definitely a signal person with the stop or slow sign, stop and slow sign. However, they can use flags and signals as well. These are pretty easy to understand for drivers to slow down or stop, to proceed. It's pretty easy for them to understand because, you know, unlike construction workers, they aren't in that area all the time. They wouldn't understand, you know, specific signals. So you have to tailor that to those who are not in the construction zone. And that's why we use the stop and slow sign as the preferred method. People are used to seeing those. They aren't used to seeing a flag wave or a flag held out. They aren't entirely sure what that means.